AEW presented, well, Fright Night, Fright Weekend, whatever you wanted to call it. We're going to run it down. Lots of stuff happened. We had new champions, we had debuts, we had lots of other stuff that went on this week on AEW. And of course, on the Hit in the Turnbuckle channel, that means two things. One, you get me, as always. And two, we obviously get the AEW analyst from across the pond, the man that when we last spoke, we was interviewing the man behind the music of AEW, Mr. Mikey Ruckus. But it is, of course, the all elite bearded genius from the Follow the Revolution channel. Mr. Gary Joe, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Can't wait to talk about this show. I can't wait to talk about EW. What an amazing week.
It's been a big week. It's been a big week in AEW, as always. Lots of stuff going down, lots of stuff happening. We'll get to some new champions and some new debuts in a second. I just wanted to touch on the first thing. The opening match this week on Dynamite was Adam Cole's first match back in quite a while against Buddy Matthews. I mean, these two just showcase some unbelievable talent that, of course, not only AEW has, but these two individuals have. Obviously, Adam Cole picking up the victory. What I liked about this particular match more than normal with Adam Cole and Buddy was it was a slower pace to begin with, and the pace got quicker and quicker and quicker as the match got on, which was a really nice match flow to it. And we said Adam Cole picking up the win. He goes to shake Buddy's hand at the end. They do. Lights go out, lights come back on, and he's shaking Malachi Black's hand. A great way, obviously, to set up this coming week's Dynamite as well. But just a great showcase of two great talents that AEW have got on their roster.
Oh gosh, I think Buddy Matthews is really due for a singles run before Grand Slam. Australia, personally, I think that's what they should do. Maybe put him in the C2, something. I did like post match though. Like I thought that was a very cool, creative thing to carry his next match over. And then I think it's no brainer who his match is going to be against after Malachi Blood. But yeah, Buddy really didn't miss a beat. As for Adam Cole, he did get mixed reactions from the crowd because it's Cleveland. No, it like one thing that was worrying me, like is Adam legit not really 100%, but he played it really, really well. I don't think he was really injured in the match, during the match. I think just that's how gifted Adam Cole is when it comes to selling. Um, but yeah, to me, the one that really highlighted in the match was easily Buddy Matthews.
Yeah, Buddy is sensational. I'm kind of glad that he's getting his run a little bit. Maybe, as you say, a C2 candidate with Adam Cole. We'll see. I mean, the C2 literally right around the corner now, just after Full Gear, which is coming up in just a few short weeks. We talk about returns now, and there was one on AEW this week, and it was one that we've been kind of waiting for to see the position within, or his position within what's been going on with Osprey and Fletcher and everything else. Now, that man was, of course, Mark Davis. Mark Davis returned this past week on Dynamite as Carl Fletcher was talking here, and at the moment, Davis is kind of against Fletcher at this point. He's not sort of liking what's been going on within the Don Callis family. I personally don't expect that to last very long before Mark, I think, will side with Carl initially on this. I don't know where you feel, but obviously great to see Mark Davis back and intriguing to see how they play this storyline out.
To tell you the truth, I'm sorry, I butchered that. To tell you the truth, I really really love that surprise. I did not expect it to be Mark Davis. I mean, right when the music was playing for United Empire, if I can be honest, I thought it was just going to be like the heel getting the heat, being like, yeah, fooled you, you know. And when I saw Mark Davis, I was like, what? Like, where did this come from? A very very creative way of getting him into the mix again. Very happy to see Mark. And if I could be totally honest with you, there, Adam, I very much agree. I think he is going to be joining sides with Osprey, not Osprey, but Kyle as well. And it's going to build the story a little bit more after Full Gear. And again, kudos to AEW going with that longevity with storyline development. So, um, I mean, after all, somebody does need a partner on Wednesday now. That would be Ricochet. Who's it going to be? Hmm, I wonder. But it's really really good, and yeah, Mark looked good, and Kyle. I seen some people make polls like, should Kyle now be in tights instead of the pants? And I'm like, it's Kyle being Kyle, and man, he's so good at what he does.
Yeah, Carr was a great competitor. I really like. I mean, there's so many on that roster, and we'll get to that actually a bit more in a minute. Because I'll talk about something that not a concern that I've got, but I want to go through. But we'll get to that in a second when we talk something else. But next thing you know now is we did say I said it at the start of the show, new champions, and that brings us very nicely to Private Party Young Bucks on AEW Dynamite this week. Private Party picking up the victory, winning. Obviously, if they lost, they had to split up, and we wasn't sure when we spoke before about were they going to split Private Party up. Was that something they was potentially looking at doing because they've been away for a while? Well, they've been at AEW, sorry, a while, and they've had the little bits and pieces, and it's now Private Party's time to shine. Young Bucks reportedly taking a break now from AEW. I think they're going back over to Japan to start something, maybe with Kenny, and so, or maybe at least it's early part of next year. With this though, and I want to sort of leave the Blackpool Combat Club a little bit later on, but I want to sort of skirt around that. Does the Bucks eventually perhaps come back with Kenny, maybe to start that feud with the BCC at a later date?
That is a very good question, man. I like the double sword questions here. Um, Man, I think what the intention is for their time off in AEW, I think you're right. They're going to go to Japan. I think they're going to promote Wrestle Dynasty for sure. It seems like that's what Kenny's goal is. Um, especially, it's very interesting with that, by the way. Like Tanahashi's last year, performing in the ring is going to be next year. So what does that mean for New Japan afterwards? But it's a very cool thing. That being said, though, man, I think Kenny. Like at first, I was thinking maybe it's going to be Darby Allin to get his revenge, like the whole Sting thing, waiting it out. But we're going to go in more into that too. But so now it's making me believe I think Kenny's going to be the guy, no doubt, to take that title from Mox. Um, it just like that would be very cool because it's kind of like, you know what, you're not taking down my company. Now, who is the Young Bucks going to bring back with them? I'm sorry. It just feels like it's going to be, somebody that created a Mean Street Posse once upon a time. I think that's where that's going to lead to. That I don't know. It's going to be a very intriguing, like surge of momentum for AEW. I think once they return. Um, with the match with Private Party and the Young Bucks. I mean, I made a video about this on my TikTok channel, Follow the Revolution. People can say what they want about Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks. When it's all said and done, this team is so great when they're putting over talent. There was multiple times where I really, really honestly believed there was going to be an angle towards the end of the match where Mark was going to turn on Isaiah. Like I really thought that was going to happen. And no, I mean obviously they had their feel good moment. This is what I love about AEW, that they really like to put the titles on their stars of yesterday and the future, pretty much. So well deserving recipients. But yeah, it just that match. It was very tough to watch because the gut feeling was you're gonna see a betrayal, and so glad I was wrong. So definitely match of the week when it comes to Collision, Dynamite for me.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a great match. You kind of mentioned there about things you're happy to see and things you're not, and it take me to Chris Jericho of all people. Funnily enough, we need to just quickly have a chat about this. Now, obviously, for our sins or whatever, he won the Ring of Honor Heavyweight Championship, but it does appear now that there was an ulterior motive behind it from maybe Tony Khan or someone like that, because it does appear that Ring of Honor is maybe getting an actual TV deal. Now, Ring of Honor has been streaming, of course, ever since AEW purchased the rights on it. So it, I kind of gather now it makes sense with Jericho perhaps leading that revolution for whatnot on Ring of Honor, joined by the grizzled young veterans as well. I've just seen a promo that they done about Ring of Honor, bringing the honor back to Ring of Honor. It's an exciting thing to hear that potentially they're going to get some TV time because it's difficult, for a lot of people to watch it if they, maybe sometimes they just simply can't afford to be able to pay the money to stream Ring of Honor. So this could be really interesting, especially with everything that's been happening with Athena on Ring of Honor doing the bits that she's doing. Billy Starks just keep climbing that and getting that momentum. This could be a major thing for not only AEW but the talent of Ring of Honor as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of people have been wanting to get this Ring of Honor TV deal. Like, I mean, yeah, I pay $10 a month for the Honor Club app, and I'm hoping this is what they still do if they actually get the TV rights deal, and that is keep streaming the pay-per-views on the Honor Club app.
Mm.
I mean, it's free in my opinion, even though it's paying $10 a month. It's no different from when I was paying for the WWE Network. So, um, that being said, though, I mean, the signs are really in that direction. Um, like when Mark lost the title, I'm not gonna lie, I was very annoyed by it, but it all makes sense. I mean, much as I love Mark Briscoe, it's true. He's not that draw to a hardcore audience. I mean, I get it, Jericho, the fan base of Chris, people got mixed feelings with him as well, but it's kind of like when you see AEW put the belt on Jericho before AEW went on national television in October of 2019, Jericho was that eye catcher. So I think the roles are reversing, but this time with Ring of Honor. So um, if it's going to be on True TV, that's a free network. Um, yeah, I mean, it gets eyeballs to ROH, and I want Tony to bring storyline development in that as well. Not treating it like a 1 hour rampage, much as I do like Rampage. It's just like I'm very excited for it. If this is what they're going to do.
Yeah, let's hope we get an announcement from it soon. It'll be a great time. As I said, it's been huge, really, for Ring of Honor to get back on TV and a welcomed bit of news, if that's the case. I wanted to touch quickly. There was a match on Dynamite, Camille and Statlander. Now we may have a little disagreement here because I know that you love your Statlander. I know that you've made no bones about it, and I'm big on Camille. I've watched Camille wrestle for many, many years. And I get it. At this point, I do understand why Camille lost because obviously Statlander's looking to challenge Mercedes for the championship. I get that. And I just my feel with this is already, and not because losing to Statlander isn't a bad thing, but I don't want it to always be about them having to get through Camille to get to Mercedes because the problem with that, what I find, and I've seen it over the years, is that the legitimacy of the person like Camille, for example, it reminds me a bit like Wardlow. If you remember when like people like Cody were trying to get to MJF, they had to get through Wardlow and they would end up beating Wardlow. And for me, that kind of killed a bit of momentum that Wardlow was getting. Every time he was getting a bit of momentum, he was then losing to the next guy to go for MJF or whatever it was. And I'm worried that Camille will fall into that mantra. So, with that being said, obviously a good win for Stat, but they need to find a way of keeping Camille's legitimacy and not have her lose every time somebody new comes along to take on Mercedes.
This is why I like Adam Cousins, people. Because you're not wrong, honestly. Like, I mean, yeah, of course, I'm happy with the win. Yeah, it was kind of short.
Mm.
Um, it, I mean, there was a couple things that I disagreed with as well, and one of them, in fact, was the match was too short.
Yeah.
I get it, Stat is a powerhouse. I love it. But then you got the brick house, like it just maybe there's going to be more to the story. And that story is, you know what? I don't want you here. I got a backup plan. Maybe Megan Bain with Mercedes.
Hmm.
And then Stat maybe can have a partner in the future, maybe an upcoming future, actually, and that would be Camille. That would be pretty cool. But how about Costo? Because there's not really tag team titles or anything like that with the women. But I very much agree. I don't want to see Camille go on the losing end. She has so much potential, you know. And Adam, as you know, because you love watching NWA loyally,
Hmm.
and her being the longest reigning NWA Women's Champion of all time says a lot. Or actually, was that the Fabulous Moolah? But you know what I mean. uh, yeah, I don't want to see a losing trend with Camille either. When they signed her, I was so excited. I still am.
Mm.
I just I'm just crossing my fingers she won't be in another match until she actually has a believable feud, more than picking up those losses. And well, not picking up, but stacking up those losses. I'm with you, man. I don't want that either.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, hopefully, anyway, it's not something. It was just a thought that I had watching that match. But hopefully, as we say, that she rolls because she's a great talent. So I hope, and it'd be great. Maybe a women's C2 down the line. She could be a shoe in for that. Who knows? Um, we'll talk main event quickly, and there was obviously stuff that happens after the main event between Shelton Benjamin and Swerve Strickland. I want to talk about the match first. I don't think Shelton Benjamin ages. I would love to know, like, if he uses any kind of like aging cream or something like that, because he certainly doesn't. He certainly doesn't age, but he's also like just hasn't lost a step in this in the ring. He feels like I'm watching Shelton Benjamin back in like when he first started in WWE. He's still that good. As you get older, sometimes that you lose. There's something that you lose, maybe a bit of speed, maybe some strength, or but he hasn't lost anything. Now, the loss to Swerve didn't exactly harm him, and we'll get into that in a bit. But I love this main event on Dynamite, and I think it's actually good the diversity of AEW here as well, because it does get picked up about diversity in wrestling, and when we get into all of the what some companies are slated for and some companies ain't. Tony Khan does a great job of a great diverse, not only roster but the fact that they are all taken seriously in AEW, and this main event epitomized that and got Swerve Strickland back onto winning ways, which is where he needs to be.
I like that word diverse because it really does feel like that. No doubt about it. Like he's bringing not only stories, but he's bringing so much involvement with different aspects, with the women or the men or the black culture. It's so cool to see, man. Like, as for Sheldon Benjamin, it's surreal. A guy his age can go this way. It's just amazing. And again, this is like I just want to say this. This is not a dig at WWE, but when you are kind of holding the potential of that talent for everybody to see, it kind of stinks because then when you see them on another platform such as AEW, where Tony gives them that freedom in the ring, it's pretty cool to see. And again, that's what sets them apart, AEW that is, to any other promotion, in my opinion. Um, but man, he needs to be in the seat too. Just what a phenomenal match. I really liked it too. The whole thing with Swerve picking up the win as well. I know, like, I've had a few followers saying that was a bad decision. I'm like, yeah, but you can't make Swerve lose either. Maybe a DQ or something. I'm sure there would have been other ways, but it's it was still a really cool thing. And these two just never disappoint me, especially Shelton. So
Yeah, I think
so you get a title, and then he will be the gold standard
he will. No, he certainly will be. I don't think the decision was wrong to have Swerve go over. I think Swerve actually needed the victory in this one, and it's not going to harm Shelton in any way at all, in my opinion. Let's get to the aftermath of this now. MVP was shown on the telephone as this match ended. A little bit of a little bit like Jim Cornette in the old days with the old phone. People may like or hate Jim Cornette. I'm just using an analogy here, not necessarily showing my support or disdain for him, but. He was on the phone. I'm not sure whether they had a hiccup with the lighting, if it was meant to go off when it did. I'm not quite sure because it did go dark. It come back, and we're like, what's happened here? And then eventually eventually the light sort of dimmed as the music was playing, and that was the music of the newest AEW roster member, Bobby Lashley, which is now the Hurt Syndicate is nearly at full strength. We'll get into maybe someone else that might be joining, or at least another two people that might be joining them shortly. Bobby Lashley into AEW, I do think is great. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to crap on the signing of Bobby Lashley. The only thing that concerns me, because I did say that I would talk about something that concerns me here, is and it kind of a bit of a contradiction because Private Party was AEW from near enough day one. So I understand what I'm saying may have a bit of a thingy on that. But the concern that I have is I don't want AEW to, and I'm not saying they are making the same mistakes as what WCW and TNA did early, but they've got to remember the core people that they were there at the very, very start. And I'm not talking necessarily about just the Young Bucks or Kenny. There was a lot of people there that when AEW started, they were around, and Private Party were one of them. We've seen it. The concern for me is it could get to a point where people like maybe like a Sammy Guevara or someone like that, and I don't know, Sammy's had his troubles, but they could get lost in the shuffle here with these names coming in. And I'm not saying they're going to go elsewhere and be superstars, but I always think it's important to keep the core. TNA's biggest mistake was forgetting the AJ Styles and Samoa Joes and the Christopher Danielses and everything else. And they just brought in the likes of, someone was released by WWE 2 weeks later, they're in the impact zone. And it was just like, it was getting to that point. I think Bobby Lashley's a great acquisition. I think the Hurt Business are going to do great. I just don't want to have the core people in AEW forgotten about 12, 18 months down the line. It's already difficult enough as it is. When you look at that roster and we see all the people this week that we saw on TV and the people that wasn't on TV. And so maybe a bit of a condensation of the roster needs to happen. Maybe that will happen, but I just don't want them to forget about the core people that basically were there at AEW with the start.
Oh, dude, I very much agree. I don't want that to happen either. Like you're missing some of the talent that people absolutely love. That's Ricky Starks. You got Danhausen. You got, there's just like Penelope Ford, for example. I'm so glad that she's back in the ring. And yeah, I get it. It's with Jamie Hayter, but yeah, you don't want to misstep her either. For a potential, another woman signing. I very much agree with that point. The only thing that I actually applaud AEW with to a degree is, yeah, they may be bringing in, this person, that person, but they really like to stick with, booking their originals to get the most meaningful wins. So I guess it's a little bait and switch with that. So I do agree with you. The only thing, like I said, is I'm glad that they're always putting the highlight around Orange Cassidy. Best example right there. Yeah, I get it. John Moxley's been around for 5 years, but Cassidy is still in the main, spotlight. And, so when it comes to those meaningful matches, it's always showing, okay, cool. I just saw the original win. Kind of like the Young Bucks losing. But again, that was Young Bucks and Private Party. It's not like it's Bob the Lash and Swerve, But I think that is where I see the differences when it comes to AEW and other companies. So let's say, for example, I don't know. Like, I know one thing. When Joe Hendry signs with WWE, it's going to happen next year. Are they going to book him into a promising position? because if you're not originally signed with WWE, I'm sorry, but you're not really going to get that push that you really deserve. Don't understand the mentality of that with WWE sometimes. And again, this is not a dig at the company by any means. Um, but AJ Styles, I feel like he's the only successful one. I mean, maybe Drew McIntyre, but he keeps losing the big ones too, and I don't get it. But that's just my take on that. So I do agree, but I guess I'm going to slightly disagree.
Yeah.
But I like that about you and I, Adam, is we don't always have to agree on everything. So, and it's us being real to our people that watch this, rundown of Dynamite and AEW. So,
Yeah, exactly that. And I think there's always an argument as long as the argument is actually backed up with, not just that, oh, it's AEW, oh, it's WWE, it has to be right or wrong. It's a compelling argument that you have, and it's a fair one. It's not just a whole, it's not going to work because it's AEW or it's not going to work because it's WWE. There is, rationale behind it that is not just against hate for a company. It is just we've kind of seen it before, and multiple companies have made that mistake. And like I said, I'm not saying he is going to make that mistake. I think that he's learned. Tony Khan is good. One thing he does do is he does care about that core base. And you've mentioned there Orange Cassidy. We're going to get to him pretty much instantly. So yeah, we'll just see. But it's just good to have a fair conversation about it rather than, having people just crap on it because A, it's AEW or B, it's WWE. And unfortunately with me, you're always going to get good and bad from me from every company that I watch, including TNA and NWA. If you watch the reviews that I do, I'm pretty much, if I like something, I'll tell you. If I don't like something, I will tell you, and I'll also tell you why I didn't like that thing. And it's a legit, it's just my feelings. And I'm not saying I'm right, but either with that, I'm just giving you my feelings or thoughts.
I
Um,
mean, like if we did our rundown last Sunday, I actually would have been so negative on AEW because it was really mismanaged show.
mm,
So, and that's very rare that I would say this something like that. But again, wrestling fans should be honest, not just being like, "This show sucks." Okay, I get it, but why? Again, there's never an explanation why they hate it. They're just wanting to be fun and cool and whatever.
yeah.
At least you and I cut to the chase, and there's a few content creators that are very honest too, and I like that.
Yeah, exactly. I always think he's fine as long as you can, your opinions are fine as long as you've actually got a decent kind of argument instead of just, oh, it's this, it's that. So anyway,
And
we'll leave.
the one say, "Well, I can't watch the show; it's horrible," and I'm like, "So why are you commenting about it if you don't?"
Yeah,
Stop! You just lost me right there.
exactly. Exactly that. That just annoys me. But anyway, let's talk about
Yeah.
the Blackpool Combat Club and Orange Cassidy. You made a great point there. So Orange and Mox is confirmed for Full Gear. What I do like about this, because we've seen the comical side of Orange Cassidy over the years, and it was funny, it was great. But I really do like the fact that how they've switched it up a little bit now. He's talking some more as well on the mic. And he does still a little bit of comedy on the mic. I think he said something about one of his favorite teams or when he was talking on an AEW this week. But I do like the fact that we are getting the serious side of Orange Cassidy because what they're doing is playing into the storyline and how serious this is that Mox and the Blackpool Combat Club have kind of taken. They've kind of taken the World Championship hostage. It was zipped up in the bag when they beat Danielson. We haven't seen it since. In a way, they've also taken Wheeler Yuta hostage because he's seemingly doing stuff that he doesn't want to do. Whether that's just them playing into it or what, I don't know. But I do like the fact that Orange Cassidy is being serious because playing onto the fact that it's a serious situation going on with Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, this is one thing I like the different side of Orange. I mean, he's not being a sweet orange; he's being a bloody orange. Like, you know what, I'm gonna do this and this to you. Like he's a true pioneer, and I just love that about Orange. When you see the aggressive side of him instead of putting pockets in his hand, sorry, put his hands in his pockets. It's very very intriguing. especially last night in Collision. I thought it was a really, really cool, segment with him as well. Um, yeah, Orange is not going to win the title, but I mean, hey, maybe they will, but I doubt that. But I'm curious to see who else could be involved more than the ones that actually has been coming out to help out Orange. Like the likes of Top Flight and you know Action Andretti. Just I want to see somebody else involved, more just than the ones that I'm used to seeing. Like I know it's not going to happen, but there's been already a few people that is actually medically cleared now to be in the ring again. Hobbs, you got, oh my goodness, who else?
Wardlow.
Just Bandito to what was that? I'm sorry.
Wardlow's also medically cleared now as well.
Wardlow, yeah. Like those are, except Bandito, is, like the originals that I want to see, more than anything, because it would be awesome. Wardlow really fits into that position anyway. Um, but yeah, just this whole look of Orange, I mean, all in black is just, it's so cool, But,
Mm.
it's just to do with the catchphrase. Don't forget
He was, but yeah, he's being more. I was trying to think of an analogy for orange, and you got it, blood orange. That's exactly what I was trying to think of when I was trying to use an analogy for Orange Cassidy, and you hit it on the head. So brownie points and a bonus point for you for thinking that up before me. When I move on slightly, one of the things that Collision did do was look at potential. There was potentially new members of the Hurt Business. Now we just spoke about Lashley coming in. Private Party were having their party thing for the championships. Obviously, they called out FTR. I know that could be somewhere where they're going with that, and that's cool. And the Outrunners, they were doing they were out there as well. And we know we agree with. We want them to be champions eventually. We had that conversation before. But the one person that did have that still had MVP's card was Max Caster. Now, we were talking potentially they were splitting up Private Party, but it does feel to me, and I think it's needed for this, and I do think it's needed for the Acclaimed. I haven't felt the Acclaimed a lot. I used to love the Acclaimed, and everybody still loves the Acclaimed and Scissor Me and all of that. But I think if any team is to split, that's the one I would like to see. And I think Max Caster joining MVP's team, potentially along with Leo Rush, who's the other one, would be a fantastic addition to that, and also a pretty much an AEW original in there as well.
that. Yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting thing going on already. I could see Caster for sure, especially Bowens is just, you know, I can't buy Bowens into a heel again. I really, really can't.
Mm.
He comes off way too much of a baby face. Um, I know Leo Rush is kind of teasing the split with Top Flight as well. I don't think I would want to see that. And that's something against Leo Rush. If they're going to get two, I would like to see Caster, and it needs to be Powerhouse Hobbs. Like Hobbs, can you just imagine the two powerhouse juggernauts of Lashley and Hobbs, maybe future tag team champions? That has money written all over it. Caster would be there to diss, and because you know how he gets with his raps, controversial, but that's what a heel does. If MJF can get away with it, Caster can get away with it. So, but yeah, I don't see Leo Rush and Bowens. But if you are correct, I will credit your words to Adam.
No, I don't think I am, but it was just he was the other one given the business card from what I remember from MVP.
It was really cool how they actually played that into the story last night. I'm like, oh, where did that come from? And it was a really cool curveball.
Yeah, indeed. They have announced a four-way contender series for Full Gear, and the winners will take on Private Party for those tag team championships. I'll be interested to see that when it happens at Full Gear. Before we get onto the main event of Collision, I just wanted to touch on a side story that come out. I think it was yesterday. And that was involving Dustin Rose. Contract expired at the moment. Talks, I think, are underway between him and Cody, between him and AEW for a new contract. Now, there has been a lot of pushing and a lot, well, not a lot of push, but there's been a big push on social about getting Dustin into the Hall of Fame as well, which I'm sure will happen at any bet. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen this year, but I'm sure it will happen. Is there any, I mean, I'm saying this in a way, is there any worry that Dustin may choose now to bow out, or do you think as a champion, because he's still champions, right? From what I remember, I don't see them lose. I don't think they've lost the champions. Would it now be the wrong time for Dustin to bow out from AEW and perhaps go back to WWE? Not necessarily as Goldust, but probably with the Cody and stuff going on. I don't know. Would it be more beneficial for Dustin to actually just re-sign with AEW and continue what he's doing there at the moment?
That is a wonderful question there, Adam. And I think it can really go both ways. Does he want to get that Hall of Fame position? He's going to get that no matter what.
Yeah.
Just, I feel not right now. Dustin did post something the other day that he wants people to join his, wrestling school. If you're looking for doing that, yeah, I get it. There is the WWE ID thing that just came out.
Yeah.
But Dustin wants it just to be, his own wrestling school. He doesn't want, other people to, go within WWE ID, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants to have, people work for his own. And then AEW, yeah, you will have that. I can't speak for Dustin, but I feel like he is really going to resign. Dustin has been showing so much love and appreciation for his work with the women's division in AEW, and he loves doing that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he does. Now, I know everybody, just like Ricky Starks, everybody's like, well, he's going to go to WWE because Cody's there. That's what I think a lot of us speculated with MJF as well.
Yeah.
MJF resigned. I don't think everybody should go to WWE just because Cody is there. I just think that's a weird reasoning, but, I'm not the talent. I'm not Dustin. Whatever he does, I'm obviously going to support the guy 110%. But I think he really is going to resign. He seems to be very happy. So it's going to be one of those things where I'll believe it until I see it, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly that. I exactly agree. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Dustin will do what's best for Dustin, which is the most important thing, and whatever that is, we will see. I wanted to just finish up on AEW on the women's match. It was nice that they main evented as well. So again, we went from main eventing with Swerve and Shelton Benjamin to main eventing and showcasing the women's championship, which is exactly what they should do. Mariah May, I don't think there was too much doubt that Mariah May was going to win the match, but what I did love this. And again, it's a contradiction to what I said earlier on about the AEW originals back from, when they stayed. And you look at Anna Jay and someone that was perhaps on the back of that whole, she was in there 5 years. She went away. She went to Japan. She honed her skills and she's come back. And now she is now a serious contender for a heavyweight for the women's championship. Sorry. And she showcased the talents here. Very, very well. I would have liked it personally to go a little bit longer. I would have liked that match to maybe have 5 to 8 minutes to do it, give it a bit more. But I still think Mariah May winning was the right result. But it's so good to see how great Anna Jay has become, and again going away and homing them skills and coming back. She looks like now a serious contender in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, going to her competing in the Grand Prix really flourished her to look really, really good. Before I talk about that match, I really liked how much attention they gave these women again on Collision.
Mm.
Like I like the backstage parking lot little,
Yeah.
snippet where Anna's like, Philly, I'm here. Are you excited? Because I'm going to be your next women's champion. It was really, really cool. Love that a lot. The match I really, really liked as well. Now, I'm like, I was really, honestly, very conflicted when this match was announced because I want Anna Jay to get a title so bad. Same time, I don't want Mariah to lose. So here's what I think is going to happen. Mariah May, she really needs to get a feud going. Like I will say that she needs something to really catch my eye. As she's doing really, really good. But now, who is going to be her opponent at Full Gear? So it that remains to be seen. I'm very excited for Tony Storm to come back sooner rather than later. I think that feud continues, leading to Grand Slam Australia, and Ben Tony gets her title back. But as for Anna Jay, again, I'm very happy she got into that main event. She looked incredible, and she actually is in a fatal four-way, and the winner gets to go for Mercedes' New Japan Strong title. I think that is in fact going to go to Anna Jay. I just got that feeling. She is very, very deserving of the title. So, like you said, man, she's an original, and original deserves a moment. And even if it's the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think she definitely will. I definitely think she will win. Hopefully she will anyway. She deserves it. Again, we've spoken about the originals and how important it is. Private Party coming out on top this week. Anna Jay potentially coming out on top, as you say, in the New Japan Strong going against Mercedes. It'll be good to see. But a really, really strong week. Lots of development done on AEW this week. Lots of storyline development. We've got the new champions. We've got some debuts coming as well. And it all peters for a very good AEW Dynamite coming up this Wednesday night. Now, coincidentally, there is some big election thing going on in America as well, I believe, this week. So with that being said, AEW obviously is going to be going head to head with NXT in the from the 2300 arena as well. So that's going to be interesting. But this week's looking like a really big week on Dynamite already.
AEW, I don't know who got in Tony's ear, be like, listen, our attendance, work on this storyline, get matches announced way ahead of time,
Mm.
make discount on tickets. AEW is doing all of that right now. So, I mean, to tell you the truth, Adam, I can't recall the last time that AEW has had already matches, like a full card full of matches a week in advance like that. Like, it is really good to see. That's what I want to see. AEW is really working on that for the first time in a long time. That's good. That's what really brought AEW's audience in. People may say what they want to say with, oh, AEW, they only bring in 3,000 plus people. Guess what? 3,000 plus people makes a difference.
Yeah.
It really, really does. AEW had back-to-back shows with over 3,000 tickets. I believe it was like 3,600 from Dynamite. It was like a little over 3,000 for Philly for Collision. Little things like that, you can see your audience grow again. Get into cities that people actually will give you some good ticket sales. But yeah, I'm very excited for Dynamite next week. I just hope they can continue that trend, and seems like they are.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Just to give you a great idea, actually, of you saying about announcing things in advance. So the four-way contender series begins obviously at 7th of November on Collision. Top Flight and the Outrunners. Outrunners are going to win that. Sorry, Top Flight. FT. Now, listen to this. Dynamite, Bridgeport, Connecticut, November 13th. What about this one? FTR, House of Black. If that isn't take my money moment. What is? And then following that, the couple of days later on Collision, there's going to be LFI. I'm not even going to pronounce it. Right,
It's
LFI and the Acclaimed. The winners of those three matches will go on to face Private Party at Full Gear. There you go. There's the four. That is just incredible.
again, like the fact that they're booking things ahead of time is just House of Black against FTR. Oh my gosh, I want them to give. I really want to see House of Black in an opportunity so bad. I don't think. No, I don't know. Like this is very unpredictable, and this is what I love to see as well. Unpredictability makes good TV. Um, mm, my gosh, like I don't know, like every single team in this Fatal Four Way series, absolutely love.
Yeah. Well,
Very, very well put, and um, like that was another thing that I really liked about Collision last night is the celebration with the party. It
yeah,
felt like they're making the relevancy into this tag division, important again. Just like the women's division needed to be important again. That's feeling like a whole new resurgence. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be very, very interesting to see who comes out on top.
it will be for sure. Coming up on Dynamite this week, everybody, Konosuke Takeshita, Carl Fletcher against Ricochet and the mystery partner, Ospreay, potentially in there. The the Hurt Syndicate. So the blurb from AEW this week is Bobby Lashley shocked the world last week on Dynamite. Will Tony Khan be able to get Lashley to sign on the dotted line? That's the blurb coming out of AEW this week. So we'll find out if he does. Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy versus Claudio Castagnoli and Pac as well. That is coming up on Dynamite this week. And of course, Adam Cole, Malachi Black will also be on our TV screens this coming Wednesday on obviously on America. I'll be watching it on Thursday, so I'm happy with that. A bit too early to watch live for me, especially on a school night, as we say over here in the UK. But Gary, another great week for AEW. Thank you again for clocking in from across the pond, providing your AEW analysis. We'll do this again next week. Check out Follow Revolution on Facebook, on Twitter. Check out Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, everything else. But until next time, he has been Gary Joe, the AEW analyst. I have been your host, Adam Cousins, and you have been watching the Elite Collaboration series on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.